Hi there everyone, thanks for joining us again today for our webinar. And today we're going to be talking about COVID-19. We're talking slightly different today. We're talking about the road to recovery and we're talking about leadership through this period of time. The lead presenter today is going to be Michael Osborne. For those who don't know Michael, he's actually the CEO of our business and he's been dealing with a lot of these issues. Now, every business is coming off a different base. You'll see that throughout the process today. One thing Michael's had to do is had to live and breathe what's going to happen for us as a business over the next 6, 12 months, even beyond that. And therefore, what we're going to encourage people to do today is to have a chat, listen to what we're going to say. We're not prescriptive. What we say to you is just our thoughts and our ideas. Nothing's right, nothing's wrong. There are some basic principles that we suggest you follow. But other than that, we think it's a great topic to actually really get your teeth into and understand what's going on with your business. So what we're going to do again for a start is we're going to start with talking about about the stages of disruption of COVID-19. But before we do that, Michael and I will just flick our cameras off just so you can focus on what's on the screen and we get distracted by people in the corners. So we'll do that and then you'll hear from us through that way. Over to you, Michael.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for the intro and welcome everyone. Yes, COVID-19 and going through a lot of changes at the moment, aren't we? So I imagine most business owners at the moment have been in a stage of responding to these situations in a state of flux. Some people, how is our team going? What about our customers, our suppliers, our families, the banks, the ATO? So I think we're going through a stage of reacting to sometimes daily changes. And I keep going back to Charles Darwin all those years ago saying it's not going to be the strongest of the species that survives nor the most intelligent, but the most adaptable to change. And that's what we're seeing now, people and businesses having to change. And I say people for a reason because you actually can't change a business as such and you can't grow a business as such. Okay, I'm going to throw that out there and say you can't do that, but you can grow or change the people who are within that business. So what we've been seeing are clients, certainly adapting. There's a few buzzwords being thrown around, pivoting and concentrating on survival, and another buzzword, continuity plan. So I say buzzwords, but they're really, really important. To be able to survive, you've got to be able to do that. You go into that survival mode. Some businesses we've seen actually have gone to a hibernation mode, which is fine, depending on the circumstances. We're no different here in terms of we've had to adapt. Our business has been built around face-to-face interaction with our business clients at least twice a year on tax planning and things, and the businesses we're helping and coaching, 6 or 8 times a year. So we've had to adapt our model by changing to Zoom meetings and signing documents online. Now, I'm not saying that's anywhere near as bad as someone who's had the rug pulled out from under their business. It certainly isn't, because some businesses have had to basically stop. We've all had differing degrees of adapting, responding, hibernation, survival. But with that in mind, we're talking about now moving to a next stage, and that is the recovery stage. Recovery is going to be a little different in that we have to reflect on where we are today and where is it we want to end up, and then work out, how to get there. So I believe that our mindset as business leaders, our mindset is going to have to be a bit different to that of when we're in responsive or reaction mode. We're going to have to look at things from a different perspective. We're going to have to consider people and the way that they move with our organisation. We're going to have to be very proactive rather than reactive. And by all means, we've got to be learning from others within our industry. I'm a big believer in collaboration and not competition. So we've got to get out there and be talking to other people, updating what we're doing. Again, business is actually probably never going to go back to the way it was. This will change the way we do business for a while. Now, we're just having a conversation offline before that, yes, it's going to change, but we've been doing this for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years. So when business goes back to, I won't say normal because it won't be the same, if there are some practices that you really want to keep that you've learned in this reactionary stage, you're going to work very hard and change your mindset and put in blocks to make sure it doesn't go back to what it was if you want to continue the new way of working. And there are a lot of examples of great ways of doing that. So you're going through the recovery stage, and then of course we'd love to be thinking that most of the people we know are going to be coming out the other side and thriving. Now, I mentioned mindset, and I think as business leaders, this is going to be crucial. This piece of information here changed the way that I looked at my business, and certainly the way that I would like to think that a lot of our team members react. You've seen it before, above the line, below the line. Essentially, when something happens, when an issue pops up, when a team member doesn't do what you think they should be doing, when a supplier doesn't deliver on time, all those sort of things, you have two ways of reacting to that bit of information. You can react above the line or below the line. Now, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can see it on the screen there, but to react below the line, in other words, to blame, make excuses, deny there's even an issue. I've seen it before. A mistake happens, you have blame, excuse, deny, mistake happens again. Blame, excuse, deny, mistake happens again. You're playing the victim if you're actually reacting below the line. You're always in a justification mode. Whereas if you can actually consciously react above the line, and as business leaders, we have to do that. The buck stops with us as a business leader. There's an old, I think it's Italian or Sicilian saying, the fish rots from the head. So we have to be acting above the line. We can't control what other people do, but certainly when it comes to a situation, we have to take ownership, accountability, and be responsible for what just happened. Hopefully that transfers down the line as well. So there we're making a choice. And it's not a matter of, if that happens. We're all human. Everyone drops below the line at some stage. It's a matter of recognizing that, changing behavior, and moving back above the line. Below the line behavior, there's a lot of criticism and negativity, and basically there's not much trust going on. There's defensive words. That's not going to go well down the track when I talk about, collaboration with your team or outside your team. For collaboration to truly be effective, everyone concerned has to be acting above the line. So hopefully that, and before we leave that, sometimes it's quite easy to see, or when someone is responding above the line or below the line. They'll start sentences above the line with the word I. Yeah, okay, I will do that. I'll take responsibility. I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. Whereas people who may be acting below the line will begin their sentence with you. You should have seen that happening. You should have done something about it. So just be careful of the words as well. Okay, moving on. That mindset there. What we've seen, some great drawing there from Tim, thank you. What we've seen recently is COVID-19 is a bit like a wrecking ball. That's that big black dot there. On the left-hand side, it's sitting on very, very strong foundations. On the right-hand side, it's gone below that foundation. Weak foundations smash straight through it. What we're saying there is that the businesses that we've seen who are most adaptable, who are most able to change, are the ones that have got very strong business foundations. Because that wrecking ball at the moment is COVID-19. 13 years ago, global financial crisis. There will be other wrecking balls come along, and it could be not pandemics. It could be a government pulls the rug out from underneath you in terms of not allowing you to trade in a certain area or do what you're doing now. So there will be other wrecking balls, and the businesses that we have seen have been able to do that have very, very strong foundations. Now that will become a lot evident when we talk about the next steps down the track, but what I want to talk about there is that strong foundations and above the line and below the line go together. If for example, some of your team are not adapting, changing, then perhaps it's not their ability to adapt or change. Perhaps it's they're not clear. So, and as we'll move to the next slide, Tim, we'll see what the components are of strong business foundations. First one is clarity plan. A clarity plan to us is the owner of the business being very clear on what they want to achieve from that business in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of how they want to be seen and perceived in their industry. But they are very clear on that, and it's documented. It is written down. It's not up in the owner's head. If the owners can get clear on that, the next thing that is crucial to have for strong business foundation is a strategic plan. That tells us how we're going to achieve that clarity plan. And I'm not talking a 47-page strategic plan document. I'm talking about a 1 to 2 page document that sets out what the goals of the firm are, what they stand for, what are the core values, what's acceptable is what is not. And some key numbers are from 30, 60, 90 days, but also 1 year and 3 year numbers as to how and what they're going to achieve to get this clarity plan. It clearly defines what the business is about and how it will get there, and it's referred to consistently. Tim and I refer to our strategic plan, and we'll be honest, I haven't in the last 8 weeks because we've been in response mode trying to help ourselves and everyone else. But prior to that and going forward now, we refer to that strategic plan on a weekly basis. Third element of a strong business foundation, a 10 hat structure. 10 hats, we call it 10 hats, but it's basically an organization chart. That 10 hat structure details roles and responsibilities of each of the 10 hats that a business owner wears. Now, it doesn't matter whether you are a 1-person business or a 50-person business. There are 10 hats that you wear in a business. Unfortunately, a small business owner who has only themselves tries to wear most of the hats all at once. It's not a good look. It doesn't work. So we're very clear on that. If you've got clear roles and responsibilities so that your team might, as I said, you might not have 5 or 6 or 7 people on your team, but you can outsource a lot of those hats, but you are responsible for the hats that you wear. The final element of strong business foundations are cash flows, budgets, and forecast. Really important. The businesses that we've seen that have, I suppose, weathered the storm more, just on those cash flows, have had strong cash flow. They know exactly how much cash they've got in the bank and how long it will last. We, when we're talking with our business clients and mentoring them, are saying, please try and have between 2 to 3 months overheads in your bank as a reserve in case of a disaster. Now, if your overheads, for example, are 20 grand a month or 100 grand a month, just multiply that by 2 and have that as a minimum sitting aside. Easier said than done, I know, but you've got to have something to work for. So those elements of strong business foundations have meant that wrecking ball has not smashed the business completely, and those businesses are ready to springboard into the next phase of recovery. Now, we've got the diagram of the 10 hats that every business basically runs by. I'm not going to go through them all, but certainly there is another hat which makes 11 that we took that out. It's the shareholders hat, which doesn't really come into play a lot, but the shareholders, the owners, are the ones that set the clarity plan. The directors are the ones that implement the strategic plan we spoke about. They're the ones who, set the direction, and then they'll say to, I don't care what you call them, general manager, CEO, leader, please, it is your role to make sure these things happens, and you are in charge of the other departments that you can see there. There is only one leader in a business. Oh, sorry, I could go on for hours about 10 hats because it's so important. We actually can run individual sessions on 10 hats. But one thing I will say, there's one leader in an organization. So if you've got someone that says, we'll share leadership, it doesn't work. Buck stops with one person. So they're the different departments that you must address, and they'll be important when we talk about our next steps. So I think that's enough for the structure, what we deem to be strong business foundations that set people up for the recovery, the road to recovery, and then hopefully thriving. What I'm going to get Tim to do now is to go through a concept that applies to every small business, and it really simplifies it. And you should have this in the back of your mind whilst you're looking at those clarity plans, strategic plans, budgets, and 10-hat structures. So, Tim, I'll hand back to you to go through 2-minute MBA.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Thanks so much for that structure, because this stuff I'm about to go through, you structure and you need that in place to be able to deliver on an MBA. 2-minute MBA, we're not going to pretend there's anything like a full-blown MBA where you spend $30,000 to $50,000 and invest 3 years of your life. This is a chassis for each business. And if you follow the way through this process, we believe that most businesses can align in here, and this gets in the basis of why they had success or otherwise. And it all starts with their assets and the amount of assets you have in the business. Now, these assets, Michael just touched on some stuff around assets, around structure. Structure is an asset. Systems are an asset. Yes, you've got cars, you've got equipment, you've got bulldozers, you've got your premises. So one of our assets at the moment we're looking at for our own business is how do we make better use of the footprint of our premises? We pay rent. How can we use that space more effectively? All the assets of your business are part of where it all starts from. Put the assets in together and you have income and expenses, and they create a profit. Now, we're going to make an assumption here. The business is fundamentally run at a profit, because essentially the product you produce or the service you provide generally will be charged at a higher rate than what it costs you to actually put that together. Now, that's not always the case. And when that's not the case, that's a straight place you have to work on, is that model there. Your business model needs tweaking. But the profit is only the start of this MBA. The profit is only the start of your business cycle, because you can't go down to the supermarket and pay for your groceries in profit. You actually need to go pay for it in cash. And so often in business, what we're seeing, and especially in times of troubles and right now where people are having cash flow challenges, is profit doesn't equal cash. We're making money, but we're not turning that into cash into that business. And the first place we want to look at that is in your stock, your debtors, or your WIP. Now, the distinction there is stock is obviously items you've paid for that are sitting on your shelf and you haven't yet returned your cash. Debtors is work you've done, you've actually invoiced for, you're still waiting to get paid for those. And WIP is probably one of the most diabolical ones, which is where you're actually doing work or done work and you haven't even charged yet. So how can anyone pay you if you haven't even charged them? So we need to turn that profit into cash. And the reason why we need to turn it into cash is because, in our view, there are only 3 places where that cash can end up. The cash can either go back into assets, so to grow your business. So therefore, you can go to potentially to buy more equipment, to hire new people, to invest in new technology, to invest in a marketing program. All that sort of thing are assets that are a part of your business. To invest in yourself, invest in your own leadership. So that's probably one that people don't invest nearly enough in, is themselves and their plans and their leadership and their own personal well-being. Then they can also invest for cash. Cash to also go to decrease debt. So if you do have business debt, that we call with equipment finance, overdrafts and the like, you can use that cash to decrease that debt. The quicker you decrease the debt, the better you're off you're going to be. Or our favourite one is paying yourself. Yes, you can go and pay yourself, allow yourself to go and enjoy the holidays, but to also invest personally, to be able to put money into your own home loan. That's paying yourself, because it's a business paying you. So that's when we talk about paying yourself, it's your personal benefits from there. And so therefore you'll see the whole cycle here is built around the way you deal with your assets. And that's when we're talking about return on assets. I mentioned earlier about our own premises. We've got to look at that asset and say, how can we actually extract more from that asset? We look at our marketing function of our business. How can we extract more value from that asset? Linda does a great job. How do we actually improve and support there? That's all the type of things you have to be thinking of. So one of the big things I'll suggest in this MBA is you write down all your assets, your physical assets and your intangible assets, and be brilliant with it. Database, that's an asset that people just do not realize they have in their own pocket. You've got a database, that's an asset. Write them all down, because what you're trying to do is make those work harder. Where we find this information, though, is really important. And we find that in 3 particular places. We find our assets in our balance sheet, our statement of financial position. We find out about our profit in our profit and loss statement, or our statement of financial performance. And we find out about our cash flow in our cash flow statement, or our statement of cash flows. So it's all well and good to have this 2-minute MBA and go, yeah, I get that, I'm going to make my assets work harder. But regular reporting actually will help you identify how hard those assets are working and what they're doing for you, and also help you just realize how fast you've got this cycle going, because the faster that wheel spins, the faster it gives you returns. The more you turn assets into profit, turn profit into cash, back into assets, into profit, into cash, and then take some debt off, take some for yourself, more into assets. As it flows, that's how your business operates. That doesn't matter whether you're a hairdresser, a plumber, a builder, or an architect. It does not matter. That is the fundamental of how to make a business work.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim. It's really important to pick up and get that cycle spinning quicker. And you mentioned at the end there, but one of the most important assets we've got is our team and ourselves. So invest in that, in those assets. Thank you. Okay, so key concepts. You've seen change in mindset required. You've got strong business foundations are important, and you've got your 2-minute MBA or the business cycle that Tim just went through. Some key concepts from here. I mentioned before, collaboration, not competition. We ourselves sit with other accounting firms. We don't look at them as our competitors. We look at them as our assistants. I cannot emphasize that, to just go and talk to people that are in the same boat as you and work together on it. And you're going to have to come from a place above the line, below the line, and have a bit of authenticity and trust, but that's fine. It will pay dividends for you. Respond with how can. A lot of people, we've actually got a couple of people on this session that have actually changed the way they operate their business. I would love people to be able to look at that, and instead of saying that doesn't apply to me, I'm a plumber, I would love people to be able to say, and this is the leadership coming out again, how can I get this to apply to me? Yeah, I might have to tweak it, but the concept, how can this work for me? Can it improve my business? Can it help my team? Again, learn from other business owners. I'm an information soak. I love it. Our business coach always said to me, Michael, who you become in business will be determined by 2 things: the people you associate and the books you read. Now, that was a few years ago. So now we've got audios and podcasts and things like that, but you get the concept. This next part's really important about the clarity plan and the strategic plan of having an idea of what you want your business to look like, to be in X years' time. Our coach used to say it's like a journey. So if we're saying that we're here now in wherever you are, Sunbury or surrounds, and say our journey is going to Albury-Wodonga. A coach used to tell us that we had to go to Cairns, so I think he was telling us that we were starting from a long way back, but that's fine. So let's just say we're going to Albury-Wodonga, and if we're on track, we're sailing up the Hume, and all of a sudden that wrecking ball called COVID-19 comes through and just pelts us off into the back blocks of northeast Victoria. If we don't know where our target is, if we don't know that Albury-Wodonga is a place we want to get to, we could be driving around in circles. Nice view up there, but driving around in circles without any idea of how to get back onto the Hume Highway to get to our destination. I hope that makes sense. You've just got to have a written, documented destination, goal, plan, you name it. Because that can change maybe a little bit, but most of the time it shouldn't. It should be your rock that you go towards. In actual fact, now it's probably the way you get there will change more than your actual destination. Excuse me, too many seminars and webinars lately. What is required to get back on track? Well, essentially, you're going to have to take into account, hopefully, a lot of what we said and apply what we're going about now. But actually, the key point there is what's required. I want you to think about what it's going to take for you to get back to where you want to be. Not how, but get the how for the moment. Okay, you can think about that, but just be very, very clear on what you need to do now. Then you can address the how. Okay, so they're the key concepts. Our next steps. I'm just conscious of the time. We're actually not too bad, Jim. Conscious of the time. please prepare or update, if you've already got one, a clarity plan. What do we want? When do we want it? Now, has anything changed? What needs to be adapted? But document that clarity plan. That's the first part of having a very strong business platform. And therefore, when you've done that, go to then your business recovery action plan, or do your strategic plan of how you're going to get there. But also go through each of those 10 hats and look at the different departments. Yes, if you're on your own, you may have to outsource. You know, if finance isn't your bottle, and we've got a lot of trade customers, and you know that they're tradies because they don't like numbers. So outsource that, get someone else to do it so you can concentrate on one of the hats or two of hats or three of the hats that you love doing and you're good at. Assign responsibility for each action. You've heard me say it before. We make hundreds of decisions every day. The law of results is decisions multiplied by actions equals results. You can make all the decisions you like. If you do not action anything, you will get nothing. There will be no results. So assign actions against the responsibilities within that 10-hat structure. And please establish some accountability and regular reporting. Accountability. We can make decisions, but I've said it before, who are we most likely to break a promise to? Ourselves. So if you need someone to sit on your shoulder and just give you some guidance, but also maybe a clip around the ear, actually probably not allowed to do that anymore, but anyway, give you some guidance, then that's what you need to do. A regular reporting system. Get your team around you. If you don't have people, I'm lucky. I consider myself really lucky. I've got a great business partner, and we've got a great team that is willing to step up and take on responsibilities. I get that not everyone is that lucky. So if you haven't got anyone around you like that, go and find people. Talk to your account, talk to us, talk to a confidant, talk to people that you respect in business. Get that support around you because you're going to need it. And I think that's about it, Tim.
Yeah, well, I think you've done a magnificent job, and hear your voice has done a great job too.
Hang on again.
Hang on, it's been a tough couple of 8 weeks. But really, I've just written in a few words here. I'd like to summarise, which for me, I took out of that, which was, the first one was take action. I think that's just really highlighted there for me, is it's important for us to take action. But prior to that, the two other things are the mindset and the clear direction. I think if I could take 3 takeaways from today, it's that we need to have action. We need to have a really clear mindset and understand that it is hard, and that above the line versus below the line, that is something I just wish I could ingrain into. I love talking to the kids about it, quite honest. We chat about that quite a bit, that in different contexts. And clear direction, being really clear on the destination. Yeah, we've been knocked off path, and we'll be knocked off path again. But if we know where our destination is, we can keep trying to get back to that Hume freeway. So thank you, Michael, for that. I'm going to put out a challenge to everyone out there. And I'm going to ask everyone on the line, if you're up for it, to send an email to linda@sagegroup.com.au. So Linda is spelled Lynda @sagegroup.com.au. I would love you to write down the 2 or 3, let's make it 3, the 3 actions that you are going to take from today. And if you're prepared for us to just check in with you in maybe 2 weeks to a month, something like that sort of time frame, as to how you're tracking with it. Because simple form of support we can provide to you is a basic level of accountability. And Michael touched on it before and said the person to break a promise to is ourselves. Absolutely true. I'm the king of it. And accountability is what I really need. So the challenge is there for everyone. If you're prepared to the quick email, and there's certainly nothing in life's compulsory, you can do it, make your own choices. If you choose to, send the email, please to linda@sagegroup.com.au. We'd love to know what actions you're going to take out of today, and then we will check in a couple of weeks' time to see how you've gone, because that's a form of accountability and support that we think is critical. We know we use it for our business and critical for everyone else in business. So I just want to thank you all for today. Thanks for, we had a few comments come from the chat as well, which we really appreciate those. George, Nick, and the like on the chat. It's always great to have you in there, Steve, as well. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the moment, the time ahead, and coming out of this. It's not meant to be easy, and it won't be easy, but embrace the challenge. I love it when people embrace the challenge, because it's so great to hear voices. I chatted to someone the other day whose business has been, she's online, and she's been absolutely smashed. And the innovation and adaptation they're putting into the business is actually a whole set of new energy. So please enjoy the challenge. Look forward to it. Engage us, talk to us, because we want to be there for you. And we're looking forward to spending more time together in the coming months. Thanks very much, and have a great day.
See you later.